Jen, it is so nice to have you with us today. And you're currently in quarantine in Montreal, which is one of the many ways the world has changed over the last year plus. How are you doing?
Well, I'm great. It's not the best situation to be on as an athlete. I'm in my own city and I have to isolate myself from my family because I'm about to go to the World Cup in Tokyo in 2 weeks. So now we have created a bubble. So here I am now.
Obviously, a lot has changed over the last year. And for athletes like you who are getting ready to, perform at such a high level, you've had to really adapt. How has your training changed and how has everything else changed for you?
My whole life has changed since the pandemic. I used to compete every 2, 3 weeks. I used to travel around the world, have training camp in the South. And now for the first time in 25 years, it's the first time that I haven't take the plane for a competition or a training camp. So we don't know. We have to be ready for anything. And now I'm training at the Olympic Stadium. I'm fortunate to be able to train in my city and in my pool and training as much as I can and finger crossed having a competition anytime soon.
What about personally? Has it forced you to slow down in a healthy way at all?
I think personally it helped me to know what's next for me. Obviously, I know that my athlete career won't be there the rest of my life. So that pandemic showed me what it is not traveling every month, not training as hard as you have a next competition in 2 days, so you have to like really push it hard. So it really helped me to realize what's next for me and also learning about myself as a woman. Well, not as a woman, yes, but also like not an athlete.
Mm. Well, can you say more about that? Like, what have you discovered?
Um, well, it's funny to say because usually when I talk about myself, I always talk about me as an athlete, me as a diver, what I do in life, and this time it was very different because with my common law, that's how you say, I think,
Yeah, yeah.
he has a daughter. So she has to do homeschool because the school were closed. So I had to help her uh, doing her homework last year, which was a very not a big thing for me, but going back to um, second grade and teaching a little kid how to do some math or learn new things in French. It was something new, and I really liked it. I like to see her like improving and learning. So that was something very new about myself that I learned as a woman and not only an athlete that performed.
Well, when you were in second grade, you were already diving.
Yeah.
So I want to I want to know, let's trace your route a little bit. When did this all start for you?
So I started when I was 4 years old. Obviously, it was like maybe 30 minutes per week. But I remember when I started, when I was 7, I started to train 12 hours per week.
Wow.
So when I see my um, stepdaughter, and she tells me, I'm tired. I'm like, no, you can't be tired. You don't train. But I understand that it's not the same thing. It's not the same generation. It's different. But it's just funny because when I think about myself when I was her age, it was a totally different world, and it's just fun to go back in that moment without that the athlete part.
Mm. Do you remember what it was for you that made you want to work so hard at that age? Like, I mean, you're you're a little kid still when you're 7 and you're training 12 hours a week. It must have come from somewhere, that drive.
I think it was more I was very active when I was young. I'm still, even now I am, but when I was younger, I was like probably hyperactive. and I really had to move. I had to spend energy. I had to run. I had to have fun.
Mm.
And then, so for me, school was always boring compared to when I had to go train, play in water, jumping, feeling the adrenaline that diving was giving me, seeing my friends. And obviously, I was always competitive. So I always wanted to win, wanted to be the best, and wanted to like do the same thing as my friends.
You went to the Olympics not only as the youngest Canadian in aquatics, but you were the youngest Canadian competitor there. You were literally the baby of the whole team. Do you remember what that felt like?
I was very impressed. I was impressed by, when I was the baby in the diving team, but I knew them for many years.
Right.
But then when I arrived at the Olympics and then I saw the other athletes that were much older than me, and when I say much older, I'm talking about like over 10 years, even 15 years. This is where I started to realize that it's going to be a good ride, a long ride. And I had to take all the opportunity because in sport, you never know. Maybe today it's your day and tomorrow something's going to happen, unfortunately, and you won't be there anymore. But I just remember that I was very impressed, and I loved learning from the others.
I'm curious about partnerships because I mean, sure, a lot of sports have teams and partners, but there aren't that many sports where you have to be 100% synchronized. Is there a common denominator with the partnerships that you've had that makes them work? I mean, I know how close you and Melissa are, for instance. Is that the secret ingredient?
I'd say because I had many partners in my career, probably one of the most, the Canadian who had the most partner in her whole career. That frustrates me. And I think those who I had the most success with was, well, obviously, Emily. We had our Olympics medal together. And the thing that I can see with Emily or Melissa is, first of all, I was a baby with Emily. So I was passionate. I wanted to learn from her experiences. And I wanted to really, we had the same goal, and it was to be the best. Mm. And Melissa, it's the same thing. She wants to follow me. She wants to learn from all my experiences. So she always asks questions. She always give it all. And I think to have a best team, that's the key. It's to have a good chemistry and obviously the same mindset.
I know that your fourth place finishes in Rio. I know that's painful for you, but it's part of your journey. And a lot has changed since then. You've said that you felt like you were lying to yourself after those performances. What do you mean by that?
What I was saying is because when I finished my event, I was happy. The reason why is because I did 15 dives, which mean the prelims, and I won prelims. And then after I went in semifinals and I did 5 good dives also. And then I went in the finals and I did another 5 good dives. And yes, they weren't perfect for a medal, but they weren't bad for like, I had a bad performance today. Okay. So I was happy, but at the same time, it was the first time where I was leaving a competition without a medal. After like really realizing that, and then seeing the other girls winning medals and all the emotion that comes with the Olympic Games, I was always like trying to pretend that I was happy, but it's after like weeks and months that I realized that I didn't love it anymore because I lost myself, because I didn't know who I was without winning medals.
You didn't walk away though. So what shifted? What did you come to terms with that allowed you to not just move forward, but move forward with the drive to get to Tokyo?
Obviously, my partnership with Melissa, since she was new in the circuit and she was really passionate, she really wanted to be there. It helped me to come back to the source. So come back to, how did I start being successful? It's when I had fun. It's when I had a bad competition, I was learning from it, but I didn't make a big deal, because at the end, you're still alive. So this is how I really started to appreciate more what I was doing, and wanted to dive the way I see it, and not only the way my coach was telling me to dive. And obviously, when I went to the FINA World Championship and I got 3 medals, obviously it helped because I came back with 3 medals out of 3, but it made me on the track to be the most successful athlete, Canadian athlete, decorated with the medals, the titles. I was tied with Ryan Kraken and Alexandre Paty. So this is where I started to realize that in my whole career, there's not only Olympic medals, there's other medals too that can be as good or as powerful than an Olympic medal.
Melissa says she really admires your strength as a person. Do you feel like you're a strong person?
Um, yes, but it depends with, I would say it depends on the day. But
For all of us.
I think every athlete that succeed in their sport, they have to be strong. They have to be mentally, have a different mental game, because when you're an athlete and you want to perform, it demands a lot of strength, especially mentally. It's not always physically, but most of the time, the difference between the first one or the fifth one, it's the mental game. And this is why I've been working a lot mentally to be strong, and be as successful my whole career, not only at the beginning or not only at the end, but the whole time that I'm here.
Jen, there's no reason that you should finish off the podium in Tokyo, but regardless, as you head towards the end of your career, will you be satisfied with it?
Yes. And I wouldn't be able to say yes if I didn't live with my 2 fourth places. And that's the reason why I would never change those places. If you give me the opportunity to get 1 medal in Rio, I would say no. I'd rather get my 4th places, and did all the work that I did, or all the lesson that I got from those places, I wouldn't change them. And that's the reason why I said that in Tokyo, and especially with everything that we are going through, the pandemic and an extra year. Actually, it's an extra Olympic year. So it's not only an extra year, it's an extra Olympic year, which is very hard mentally and also physically. So that's the reason why that when it's going to be time for me to retire, I will never be disappointed. And also, like, with my title, with the most decorated Canadian athlete at the FINA World Aquatic, I cannot ask for a better way to finish.
Well, Jen, know that we are proud of you no matter what happens. I'm going to leave you with the same question we ask all of our guests, and that is, what is your best advice for a young Jennifer Abel?
To never lose how it started. Never lose how you got successful. And that was my goal, my way for me to come back and being even to come back and being stronger. Because I remember how I started, and how I started is to have fun, and it's to always want it to be the best, but never lose yourself.
Well, Jen, thank you so much for this. I hope you don't get too bored in quarantine, and we'll be watching in Tokyo.
Thank you very much. You can call me anytime if you want.